Welcome to another episode of Relics Radio. This is a family-friendly show, so the entire family can join us as we talk metal detecting, relic, and treasure hunting. You can also call into the show at 270-495-0315 or join in the chat and post any comments or questions that you might have. Relics Radio is also now syndicated on the Cutting Edge Radio Network and is broadcast around the world. You're listening to Relics Radio of Southern Kentucky and Middle Tennessee. And it is showtime again. You're listening to the world-famous Relics Radio. We want to welcome all of our live listeners here on the Spreaker app. Also want to welcome all of our syndicated listeners on the Cutting Edge Radio Network. And to those of you, wherever you are in the world, that may be catching this show on the archives, you can catch that on iTunes, iHeartRadio, Podbean, Apple Podcasts, just about anywhere that there is a podcast. We're there. We're all over the world. We're 2.5 rednecks with a metal detector, and I am your host, Digging with Seven.
And I'm your co-host, Tennessee Jeff. How'd you do this week, Seven?
Well, still finding bullets. It's thinning out just a little bit now, but still finding them. I can't hunt very long, though, because of the heat. And, it probably, I've been getting out there about 5:30 in the morning. Now, one day this week, I forget which day it was, I went out and mowed. There's 10 acres, and I mowed 8 of them. And hunted for about an hour after that, but that was all that I could do. But normally I've been going about 2 or 3 hours, get out there about 5:30, 6 o'clock, and hunt till about 8:30 or 9. What about you?
Yeah, I knew you'd been out pretty early. Well, I haven't been out any. We've been tied up. Everybody's been sick at home with the sinuses and stuff like that. And then, of course, we're headed to Florida Saturday, and I was cleaning out the bed of the truck today, and I found a Borman fuse in the bed of the truck. You didn't lay that in there, did you?
Don't know if I did or not.
Okay, I posted it on a Relics Radio group page and on my Facebook page, but that's what it is. It's a Borman fuse, and it didn't come from Virginia because it didn't have the red clay on it. So, right. I mean, I found a relic without a metal detector.
I may have put it in there because I don't know. I don't know where it would have come from, but it's a good find, and you didn't. Oh, yeah. You didn't have to do much to get it either, did you?
Sure didn't. And I'm anxious to find out where it did come from. Is what I'm wanting to know. So,
well, I can't think. When the last time I put anything in the bed of your truck there?
It's been a while, and it's probably been in there for a while. So, I mean, who knows? Well, maybe one day somebody will see a picture of it. Oh, yeah, I forgot and left that in your truck.
I think if it was a Borman and they knew it was a Borman, they wouldn't have left it in there. But, yeah, that would have been good because, of course, I didn't know what the Hotchkiss cup was. And whenever I did the research for the history clip, and by the way, that video will come out Tuesday, but when I did the history clip on that, I figured out that cup, when the cannon was fired, it pushed that cup up, and that spread the lead sabot around the outside, forced it into the rifles, and that's what gave the spin to the shell. So that was the purpose behind that cup. And evidently, that cup would just fall off after it was shot. Well, we were down to about the third rifle pit, and it kind of dawned on me, if I was in one of the rifle pits, I would want to be up close to the cannon because those cups might be falling all around you down there.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
that was a big piece of iron, too.
Oh, man, that thing would kill you if it hit you in the head.
It sure would. Man.
But, I didn't know what it was whenever I first found it, and then we had to Google it and find that. But I did get it cleaned up. I put it through electrolysis, and it has Hotchkiss patent October 9th, 1855. So that's a good piece. It's not the first artillery piece that I found. I found pieces of cannonball at the up in the next to the 44 woods where John Hunt Morgan shot those bullpup cannons up there. But I only have 2 or 3 pieces of that, and then maybe a frag or 2 from somewhere else. But that's the first real good piece. I'd like to have the whole shell to go with that.
No, I mean, you both. I mean, maybe one day we'll get in a spot where we can find some whole shells. So.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I guess we might already get to our guest here. We've got a great guest tonight, Jack Summers from Radioworld. How you doing, Jack?
Hey, good evening, Jeff. I'm doing great. And Seven, good to hear you both. You sound quite melodious this evening, and everything's going pretty smooth so far.
Now, we're rednecks. You can't be using that fancy language around us rednecks.
Well, pardon me. I'm going to have to remember that.
And just so Jeff knows, we got great melody between us. Camaraderie. The chemistry's good, is what he's trying to say. Good to have you on the show, Jack. We've been looking forward to this show.
Well, thank you. You certainly, the show has a great following. We have, a wonderful metal detecting community here that I'm kind of one of the focal points in, running one of the clubs and, through social media and so on. And you guys are the talk of the town.
Well, we appreciate that.
Yeah, I hope it's all good. Man.
Well, most of it is good, Jeff. They said you have the perfect face for radio.
Hey, well, we knew that. We knew that to start with. That's why we started radio instead of TV.
Yeah, I tell you, Jack, we threw around the idea of doing the live streams on YouTube or Facebook, either one, and just decided to go, well, really, I had a background in radio, and I'd rather do it. But then I jokingly said to Jeff, I said, we've got a face for radio, and we've always said that. So you picked up on that. So it may be true, Jeff. I don't know, maybe.
Yeah, I'm starting to think it. I mean, I'm getting a complex. Everybody's talking about how we just got a face for radio, man.
Yeah. Well, they say what they want to. We know better, though. Our wives sure know better. They'll set them straight on that. Hey, Jack, to start the show out, let's just get a little bit of background on you. Tell us about yourself and your life there in Canada, and let us just get to know you and our listeners get to know you.
Well, I guess I'll start with, my connection to metal detecting, and that's, I happen to be a co-owner in a small mid-size electronic company here in Toronto, and we also have one in Calgary, Alberta. Company name is Radioworld, and we happen to be the largest metal detecting dealers in Canada. So I'll leave it at that, and then basically talk about my life in Canada. It's really interesting to find what people think about us. I live in a city of about 8 million people. We are the largest city in Canada, and so we are, we have downtown core, we have good sections, we have bad sections, not horrible sections, but, some areas that are less desirable than others, and suburbs, and outside of this 8 million people area, it is exactly what you think it is. It's bush, it's snow, it's mountains, it's lakes, and everything else in between. But I grew up inner city, really had no connection, and I mean no connection with what we would call the outdoors. No hunting, no fishing, no hiking, none of that. If we happen to take a trip out of the city to the lake, it might have been once a year growing up. So as a young boy growing up in a city in Canada, I was given, as soon as I got off the bottle and could walk on two legs, I was given a hockey stick and a ball and sent outside for 10 hours a day.
Man, 8 million people. I could not imagine. I mean, that's a ton of people. And
it's a big city.
It really is. If you could sell one metal detector to everybody in that city, you would be happy, wouldn't you?
Well, if I could sell one per family, I'd be happy for sure. But that is actually part of the secret to success in business is it's all economy of scale. And even though we have grown into a mail order world, and certainly the U.S. has been a mail order world for a long, long, long time, even much prior to the internet, with the famous Sears catalog is a good example. Canada really was never a mail order country until maybe the last 10 or 15 years.
Yeah,
it was more of a bricks and mortar, walk in, touch and feel kind of transaction base.
Why do you think that there's a difference between Canada and the U.S. on that?
I think that economy of scale. If we talk about today, 330 million people across. Literally, if you're in the middle, I think you're in Bowling Green, Kentucky, or you could be in Bowling Green, Ohio, or wherever. When you're rural living, there's not always a great place to find something. I know that having family in Ohio, in their garages and workshops, it's all craftsman things because they could order a toolbox and wrenches and a vacuum and a sander and a drill and a ride-on lawnmower from Sears and have it delivered within 3 to 5 days.
Man, and it's funny now. We have drones that deliver stuff, so I mean, it's going a long ways. But anyway, what got Relics Radioworld started? I was going to say Relics Radio, but Radioworld started. What made you come up with the idea?
Well, we opened the company in 1999, and it came from a conversation I had with my partner, and at the time, I worked for him. I had sold my previous business in '96, and just really I got engulfed into ham radio, and I had a lot of time on my hands when you're not working and you're young. So I started hanging around at the ham radio shop, and I really liked the guy that owned it, young guy, my age, within a year, and he was just a small little growing company, and had 3 people working there. I'm a little bit OCD, a little ADHD, and he'd be with a customer, and he is very much customer service oriented guy, and his phone would ring, and his attitude was always, the most important customer is the one in front of you. So the phone would ring, and I'm standing there as a customer thinking, hey, the phone's ringing. I better answer the phone. So I answered the phone. And the guy asked a question. I put him on hold and got the answer, and gave him the answer. He wanted to give me money. So I took his information. Everybody's happy. So that was good for our friendship. And then the phone rang again, and I answered the phone, and the next day I went back and helped him out with the phone, and then the next day I went back, and then I think I was there probably 5 days a week for 6 or 7 months, and he says, hey, do you think I should start paying you? I thought, hey, that's a good idea.
I bet you did think it was a good idea. My father, he was always in ham radios, and I remember as a kid, of course, if the neighbors didn't call fussing about messing up their TV, he would talk all over the world. I mean, it was fascinating to me as a kid hearing somebody talk like Jamaica or somewhere real far off, and of course, it always was pretty neat to me.
Absolutely, and that's what it was. And for me, it wasn't even work. I was enjoying it. I was newly into the hobby for 3 or 4 years. It was a wealth of information. I was okay in life, and I wasn't going in for the paycheck. I was going in for. I enjoyed it. It was fun, but it progressed, and I started going in and on the schedule and stuff, and we're kind of sitting there in about 1997, 98, kind of talking, and we're 35 years old, and you look at the customer base 21 years ago, and they were all old men. And we're thinking, well, geez, we're young, and we are the youngest people in the hobby. Where is this business going to be in 20 years? So we just talked about that, and it's concerning. And we decided that we had a concept that we would diversify the business. So it was a ham radio store. We had the concept to diversify. We had a partner. We had a competitor who we banged heads with every single day, and nickels, and we fought for every nickel and dime. And we decided to get together with him, close the respective companies, and open this company called Radioworld, with the goal of providing customer service excellence, the widest possible selection of products at competitive prices. And here we are 20 years later, and we're truly a success story that is still based on those founding principles.
Wow, that sounds great. And then after this commercial break, we can come back and start talking about when you become a metal detector dealer. Sounds good to me.
T-shirts are a perfect way to get your brand recognized, whether you're talking about a business, a club, a sports team, your YouTube channel, or whatever. But you may have asked, where can I get quality, affordable shirts on demand? Well, I'm glad you asked. Relics Radio uses DetectTees.com for all of our T-shirts, long sleeve shirts, and hoodies. That's DetectTees.com. Ken and Mark Guthrie make quality shirts that last, they ship quick, and best of all, they're affordable. So if you need customized apparel, then go to DetectTees.com and be sure and tell them that Relics Radio sent you. And guys, let me remind you of something. All of these kids, I know with all of our grandkids and everything, we've got several of them that are fixing to get into travel ball and everything. You need uniforms for those kids. You need T-shirts for the parents and everything. Check out Ken and Mark Guthrie at Detect Tees. They will give you a good bulk price, and just tell them that the Relics Radio sent you there, and they'll fix you up. Go ahead, Jeff.
Well, we was going to start talking about metal detecting. When you started selling metal detectors, who was your first dealer you started with?
Well, we started with Mind Lab, and it really came out of the ashes or the requests from customers. We had built this history with customers over years and years and years and years, and we always listen. And when customers are, because we're a niche market electronics store, they always are on leading edge of things. So we just had like dozens and dozens of requests for metal detectors, just starting up in early 2010. Did our research. We found, basically we found Mind Lab, and we found Garrett, and, the other brands as well. But we were a little hesitant. And then we met with the Mind Lab team in Las Vegas at their 2010 dealer meeting, and came away very, very impressed with the company itself, with the leadership team, the ethics of the company, and the technologies. Something that we all understood very well. So I partnered with Mind Lab to start in 2010, and haven't looked back.
What was your best seller for your Mind Lab detectors?
Well, I think if we talk about currently by far, I would have to really believe it's 50% of the entire market share now is the Equinox series.
Okay. And you sell another brand of metal detector. Which one is it?
Yeah, we joined up and partnered with Garrett in 2014, and they were just seeing such a demand and our growth in Canada. We got onto the radar, and we joined up with them and have a wonderful partnership with that company, another great company. Of course, Garrett, low to mid-end detectors, mid to high-end detectors, fantastic product, great marketing team, all around good company to deal with, and certainly complemented our offerings from MindLab.
Do you see a lot of your customers, are they going after the new AT Max, or are they still just with the AT Pro?
Well, I guess the AT Max is not so much new anymore. It's got to be going on 2 years. I think that the AT Pro probably sells about 50-50 to the AT Max. I'm not sure that everybody has jumped up on the wireless headset program for the extra money. And I think that it's a comfort zone, and there's so many good reviews, reports, videos, and really goodwill that go along with the AT Pro. I think that has extended its lifetime, probably a few years for sure.
Out of all the metal detectors that I have owned and still own, I've got 2 AT Pros, and if I had to get rid of everything except one detector, I would keep the AT Pro. It is it's an all around. You can use it in the water. I love the way that running the Pro Zero with no iron disc and everything. I love scouting with that, because when we come into an old house site, you can automatically pick up on the debris field where you hear the iron grunts of the nails, but they're not overriding. You're hearing everything. And we tried the AT Gold, and the frequency was 17 on it, where I think the AT Pro is 15. Jeff and I, neither one didn't like the tones on the Gold. And, we've got some friends that's got the AT Max, but, Garrett hit a home run whenever they made the AT Pro, and I think that that's a machine that's going to stay out there for a long time. I think it's got a long life, don't you?
I do, and the thing with Garrett, at each of their machines at every price point, there is tremendous value for the money, and there really is a detector for everyone within their product line. But I'm going to I don't know what the proper term is, warn you or make a suggestion. I think is a good thing. Don't be closed-minded about new products. So one thing I've learned, and I am a technologies guy, and I really, really understand how these things work, and whether it be a fish finder or a ham radio or a CB radio or a metal detector, they all work on very similar principles. And I think both you and Jeff are outdoor guys, and I've seen the pictures of the big fish and so on. And if you would have said 10 years ago, this Lowrance LCX, 10-inch screen is the best fish finder ever, probably 10 years ago, you're right. Today, that is so antiquated to be like trying to pull up a 486 computer. So technologies change. The secret and the success of the CTX was driving more power. It's a big, heavy machine with a big battery, driving more power into the ground. So that's why it's still the deepest detector out there. The new Equinox with the multi-IQ simultaneous multi-frequency ground penetration is exactly why that unit is seeing its successes. And I think by far this multi-IQ simultaneous frequency, very, very similar to what we would know as broadband sonar in a fish finder, is giving much higher definition to returns, actually allowing that metal detector to find things faster, things quicker, not skipping things, and especially gold chains and silver. It's a winner. So yes, the older technologies, are they still good machines? Are they tried and true? Have you built a comfort zone with it? Yes, but like everything else in life, nobody's watching that 26-inch tube TV anymore. Nobody's at that 50-inch projection. We had LCD for a little bit. Now we're OLED, organic LED, and beyond. Curved screens. We're using, I think, like this telephone that I'm using, this iPhone 8 Plus, is an extremely powerful computer. So don't close your mind.
Okay.
That's right. That's exactly right. And I mean, everybody gets settled in on one metal detector, and of course, you don't like change. A lot of people does not like change, and I am starting to love the wireless headsets. I mean, I've used a couple of them. Right now, I do not own any, but I mean, I've used them, and I really like them. But we had a question from Woody Jones. He said he was asking, what is the next big thing? I'm sure he was talking about metal detectors. I don't know if you have any inside information you can say or you can't say.
Well, certainly the next big thing. Well, the next big thing is already here. The next big thing is the new technology, right? And whatever brand is going to come out with the newest technology, they've moved away from pie detectors or FBS or whatever their technologies are. They've moved into a newer technology for obvious reasons, because they're getting better results. Certainly in that $800, $900, $1,000 and up range, when you're buying a detector with newest technologies, it's a faster processor, it's a new technology. So I think you've seen the latest and greatest in the Equinox series. Having said that, I know that a company like MindLab and companies like Garrett and so on have engineers working on these every single day, and everybody has to outdo the other. What do we foresee? It's hard to say. We look at technology, and I do countermine metal detectors. I provide them for the Canadian military, so we get to see the latest and greatest of that. There is a new detector that's being released for that world. It's got built-in GPR. So could I see that coming into the hobby level at some time, in 3-5 years down the line? Absolutely. Is there going to be anything new and earth-shattering out there at $249? Probably not.
Mm-hmm. Do you guys have any GPRs? I mean, just the regular GPRs in your store?
I don't. No.
Okay.
Yeah, and you were talking about technology and really the cost of technology. As technology increases, eventually the price goes down. I remember my wife and I, when we bought our first VCR, of course it had a wired remote on the thing. We had to go to the bank and take a loan to buy that thing. And now then, you can go to one of the big box stores or Walmart or somewhere and probably get one of those VCR or disc player now. You don't even have the VCRs, but you can get one of those for $29, $39. And we're seeing that with metal detectors. We see that with the Knox. We see the technology that they've got. But it's a good mid price range detector. If you're getting a $600, you're going to give about $600 for it. You get an $800, you're going to pay $800. And I remember buying a CTX and giving $2,500 for that thing.
Yes, I agree. And the CTX still is the premier metal detector. I mean, the for depth, if you're a low and slow detectorist, you're going to find great things with that. And the proof is in the pudding there. When this detector came out 5-6 years ago, and if you look at the finds that people with those detectors were finding, and the best finds were coming out with that detector. I mean, staggering finds. And, people were going back to their most successful fields and finding better stuff deeper. They were going to fields that were hunted out, finding better stuff deeper. And the one thing that I will say to every detectorist, but especially true for the CTX user, if you think you are detecting slowly, slow down.
Yeah, that's true, because there's so many processes that are going on with the CTX that you've got to slow down. Hey guys, we need to take a commercial break, and we'll be right back. If your passion is metal detecting, then you know how much your success is based on the equipment you use. Let my buddy Tim Henderson of Murray Branch Outdoors in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, help you with that. Tim is an authorized dealer of Mine Lab, Garrett, XP-DES, and macro detectors and supplies, and also carries many aftermarket items. Murray Branch Outdoors is not only competitive in their prices, but the service after the sale is second to none. Tim not only sells detectors, he uses them, and so he can answer any question that you might have. Murray Branch Outdoors also deals in used detectors, and he'll take your old detector in on trade when you decide to upgrade. So give Tim Henderson of Murray Branch Outdoors a call at 615-948-4611 or visit his website at www.murraybranchoutdoors.com, and be sure and tell him Relics Radio sent you. And by the way, guys, go and check out the Relics Radio Facebook group page, because Murray Branch Outdoors, in association with Not to Macro, we are giving away an amphibio detector sometime this quarter, before the end of June. But you've got to be signed up on the Relics Radio Facebook group page. Just become a member. I've got it posted right at the top, so you can't miss it. All you have to do is just comment in just a few words about what you like about the amphibio. Maybe you don't know anything about it. Just put on there, I don't know anything about it, but I'd like to know more, and I'd sure like to win this. I'll give you a number. And then when we get ready to launch this contest officially, we will live on the air, and you're going to have to be live on the air. We're going to give out a number. You're going to have 3 minutes to call into the show or text it in that you are there and that your name has been called. That number will be associated with your name. So, we're going to give this detector away. We might as well give it to you. Go ahead and sign up and do everything that you have to. Going to be great, ain't it, Jeff?
It is. I can't wait. It's going to be so great. And then, of course, next week I'll be out of town, so I'll miss the show next week. So I'll be in Florida, hopefully doing some shark fishing off the Gulf Coast. So, well,
that's when we'll give it away then next week. And they're starting to put numbers in. Ohio Relic Hunter and Dennis and Ken and Ring
Dennis
Finder.
Started all of it.
Oh man,
Dennis started every bit of it.
Stop the numbers. We don't want to disqualify you before the show ever comes up. Hey, Jack, talk to us about the Mine Lab Canadian Detector Championship. I don't know anything about that.
Sorry, I got lost in a minute liking that page and getting excited about free stuff, because everybody likes free stuff, including me.
That's right. And you're eligible. Yeah, you can sign up. You're eligible to win that.
Nice. So the Detecting Championship, this kind of spurred out of need. So I started running events in 2012. I did a free event down in Toronto at Woodbine Beach, and 450 people showed up, and it was like, I think, the second largest event in history, North American history. The largest event in Canadian history. It was fantastic, and we started building these events and such, and here we are now in 2018, and all of the guys with the higher end detectors, the people that have been coming faithfully, now all they want to do is volunteer. We loved coming to the events. We love the social aspect of it. I do in-store events. I do show and tells, and I do these seabed hunts, and I've got like 25, 30, 40 guys that, hey, I'll even pay my money towards it but I don't want to detect. I'll just help other people. So I decided to do this championship, and I went to Mine Lab with the concept, and they loved the idea. And the whole idea was, I want those 30, 40, 50 experienced detectorists to face off against one another. They can use their detector, any brand, don't matter to me. And we were going to take specified targets and put them in maybe even beyond real-life conditions. So I ended up getting 10 gold rings. I got silver coins, smaller than a dime, about a dime size, about a nickel size, up to about a quarter size. I got like sterling silver charms. I got a couple of gold pieces. I got a bag of nails. I got things like this. We had everything itemized, and every target based on size, value, and quantity was assigned points. And we had a couple of people go out and put these targets in real life conditions. So 6 inches to 16 inches deep. Some of the bigger targets were masked with iron. Some of them were done in spills. And they were spread on a beach that was about 50 feet wide and about 3/4 of a mile long. And so we had 50 some odd people that signed up for this. It was an event day that we also hosted normal seated hunts for the rest of the people that came. But we took this group of 50 or some odd people that signed up. I told them there are some basic rules, no pie detectors, no pushing, no shoving. But I also told them that if they thought they were going to skim along the top of the surface of the sand on the beach and pick up coins or pick up rings or pick up whatever they're going to find and they're going to be successful, they were sadly mistaken. And I really explained myself well 2 or 3 or 4 times. And we spread these people out over the beach, and I gave them 4 hours.
4 hours. Man, that's a long time.
It's a long time. It's a long time.
Now, do you remember all the ones, I mean, the bigger names, the ones that participated in the hunt?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Of course, Bruce Campbell from Victoria, British Columbia was there. We have a guy named Sebastian here, Sebastian Pasnik, and a few of his friends. He's called 925 Finder. There's so many. Allison Walker, I think she's been on the show before. Really, all of the top-notch detectorists from our area, and I'm sure every area has its group. But I'm talking about the top 5% of the detectorists in the area of 400 or 500 miles wide were here. I had people from Nova Scotia, people from Quebec, from all over Ontario, from Manitoba, from Alberta, and from British Columbia come for this event. I had people from New York, Pennsylvania, Ohio, and Michigan as well.
Man, it was all over.
It was all over. It was a big deal, and we had some great prizes. And in the end, it was mind-boggling how many people sprinted across the sand, waving their detectors like they were leading an orchestra. And it was mind-boggling how many people were detecting in small groups.
My next question is, what is the percentage of the relics that were left that you buried?
I would suggest that about 30% of them were found.
Only 30%.
So of the 10 gold rings, only 3 were found that day. Of the smaller coins, 30 to 40%. Of the bigger stuff, quarter-size things that were 6 and 8 inches, I would think that maybe 80% of it, but all of the things that had the highest point values, more than half of it was left in the ground.
Man, who ended up winning the championship?
So Bruce Campbell from Victoria, British Columbia. Bruce is, I think, he calls himself the Vagabond Detectorist. It's a guy I know well. Started detecting 2011, 2012. He's found some amazing finds. Retired fellow, and he just likes to wander. And Bruce is the if I was going to do a tutorial on how to detect, he would be the guy I would like to have in the video. And the only reason is because he was low and he was scraping his coil along the ground, and he was slow, and he digs every target. And in the end, it wasn't even close. He was like literally 50% higher than the next detectorist.
And, you know, we have probably got some people here that don't have a ton of experience detecting. What lessons did you gain from having that hunt and setting that hunt up the way that you did? In other words, what pointers could you give to a new detectorist to find the most that they can find in the time that they're going to be out?
Absolutely. Everybody learned that day. Slow down. Make sure you're scratching your skid plate. There are $4 to replace it. So make sure you have contact in the ground. If your detector needs to be ground balance it often. Wear headphones. Wear your proper clothing. Dig every target. Dig the trash, because the difference between the signal on the trash and the signal of a good target is probably too close for most people to really understand. And technique. You're better to do a small area thorough than a large area haphazardly.
You know, I've proven that over the years. There are sites that I'm hunting right now that I've been hunting on and off for 5 years and still finding stuff. And I have found that if I will just kind of make out a little segment there, just to kind of mentally rope off a spot and discipline myself and say, I'm not going to get out of this spot today. I'm going to hunt this 50 by 50 area, and I'm going to hunt every inch of it just as slow as I can from every direction. And you'd be surprised what you've passed up by doing that. Woody Jones had another question that he wanted to pose to you. And we've got a term that we use here in the States on metal detecting called white whale. And it's something that you should have found that you haven't found. What are most Canadians looking for? What is their white whale?
Wow. I think that's a very difficult question to answer, because there is so many people that I have found that have really different interests. Bruce is a good example. He has really little interest in gold and silver. He wants to find relics, and finding a relic, like going out and finding Civil War bullets or those the cap that you found or stuff, it brings him joy. Steve Zazulik, who a dive detector, who you know, amazing gold rings. I don't know that I can identify any one thing. I get the biggest kick out of people's reaction when they find their white whale, and yeah, I think it's too hard to determine. We have some wonderful history here, and it's great to find those historical items. And for me, it's great as long as you're doing that within ethical boundaries, and that's a big deal for me. Right? You can have the best find in the world if it wasn't found if it was found in an area that you should not have been digging or in an unethical way, then it's lost on me.
Yep. Hey, we've actually got Steve Zazulik on the line. Steve, we'll get to you in just a minute. Let us run this commercial and get it out of the way, and we'll be right back. If you want to keep up with what's going on in the metal detecting world, then you need to be a subscriber to American Digger magazine. Butch and Anita Holcomb are the publishers of the magazine and have won awards for 3 straight years for being the best digger magazine on the market. American Digger magazine is available in both print and digital formats, so no matter where you live in the world, you can enjoy the latest happenings in the hobby. You can get in touch with American Digger magazine by going to americandigger.com or give them a call at 770-362-8671. And be sure and tell them that you heard it on Relics Radio. And by the way, guys, want to remind you that I am now the producer and one of the co-hosts of American Digger's Relic Roundup on Monday night with the legend Butch Holcomb and Jeff Lubert, and that's on Monday night at 9 o'clock. And by the way, Steve Zazulik is a columnist with the magazine, and we've got Steve on the line. Welcome, Steve.
Hi, Loy. How are you?
I'm doing great.
That was good timing with the American Digger commercial.
Yeah. Yeah, us teammates, we have to kind of work together, don't we?
Exactly. I've been just sitting, listening to the podcast, listening to Jack, and really enjoying it.
Well, we want you to add your 2 cents in there.
Well, I've known Jack for a while. He was probably one of the biggest supporters of me when I first started detecting, so I don't want to get his head too big, but yeah, he's really helped me along the way as far as my detecting is concerned.
Go ahead,
Steve. I didn't know you needed help. I mean, you got right out there. If he helped you, I need his help, buddy. I'll just tell you.
Yeah, he was just a great supporter. Jack really, he won't say this a lot about himself, but he's very, very good at running events in Canada, and he's probably one of the biggest supporters of the metal detectors in the country. So Jack's done a good job.
Go ahead.
Thanks, Steve.
Go ahead,
Thanks,
Jack.
Steve. And there's really not much I wouldn't do for Steve other than loan him a fishing rod ever again.
Oh no.
Oh, I knew we were going to go there.
There's a story to it, but you don't have to know it.
Well,
But they want to know. You can't do that to them, Jack. You cannot do that to them.
Well, I'll share because I know that they'd like to fish too. So Steve was going on a fishing trip, and he's got fishing gear, and I have more than any 5 men should own. So I loaded him up with some gear and stuff, and as we all know, things happen. And one of the rods happened to take a smack on the end, probably got closed in a trunk or something like that. And he came back, and the tip was broken off. And Steve was like so upset, so apologetic about it. Told me he'd be happy to replace it. Well, it happened to be a Daiwa Skis, which is like a $700 or $800 fishing rod. And his first reaction was, "Are you crazy? You gave me a $700 or $800 fishing rod?" I said, "No, I gave you 5 of them." Anyway, but don't worry. I said, the nice thing about them is they have lifetime warranty, so I just got a free replacement.
Yeah, that is an absolute true story. That was horrible.
Isn't it always that way, though, Steve? When you borrow something from somebody, it probably could have went its entire life and not had an accident until you borrow it.
They just don't make those rods short enough when you shut the gate down on your SUV. That's the problem.
I think my first time deep sea fishing, of course, the captain, he'd caught a big fish, and then, of course, he handed me the rod, and then, of course, I was sitting there, I was reeling it in, and he said, "Now, be easy with that rod, don't lose it." And, of course, I wasn't strapped in or anything, and, of course, this fish, it was probably about a 100-pound fish, and, of course, it was tugging. I finally got it in, and he said, "Well, I'm glad you didn't drop that pole, because that was a $900 fishing pole." And I'm like, "You give me a $900 fishing pole." So, it was crazy. And he spent that much money on a fishing pole.
Yeah, well, it's crazy. And I guess, the whole point of it for me was when it's friends, it's just stuff. And it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
What matters is the friendship and the relationship. And other than that, it's just stuff.
And sometimes crazy things happen around. Y'all are talking about fishing. We always go to Gulf Shores and fish off the pier, me and our boy Austin. And he's a great fisherman, but he had his pole, had live bait on it, and had it just leaning up beside the pier there. And a lady needed help getting a hook out of a fish, and we've got our cart and everything. And so he got the needle nose pliers, and he said, "I'll help you." And so in the process of getting that hook out, he got a fish on, jerked his pole over the rail of the pier, and it was just gone. And I was down at the end of the pier catching bait, and here the woman in Austin came, and I'm just so sorry, I'll pay for it. I said, "What happened?" And Austin told me the story. I said, "Don't worry about it." I said, "We've got plenty of rods. We always bring a bunch of spares with us." Then my two son-in-laws was on the other end of the pier, and I see both of them hooked up, so we get the basket net and run down there real quick, and the more that they pull it in, I see that they are pulling from the same direction. Both lines are in the water. I said, "You guys are hooked up to the same fish." And they reeled, and in a minute, the butt of Austin's rod came up, and they didn't have a fish hooked at all. They had his rod, and the fish was still on it. It was about a 45-pound stingray he had on there.
That's funny. Well,
oh, my
Steve,
gosh.
I know you've talked to Steve before, and he may not have told you, but his cottage and my cottage is on a different lake, but they are both world-class walleye lakes. His lake is also a world-class perch lake, and we both live on world-class, or we have cottages on world-class smallmouth and largemouth bass lakes.
Well, that's funny, isn't it, Seven? We've got the what is
my houseboat? My houseboat is on Dow Hollow, which has the smallmouth world record, 11 pounds and 15 ounces, caught by a man by the name of Hayes back in, I believe, 1958, somewhere in that neighborhood.
That's not a fish. That's a football.
Yeah. Hey, Steve, did you participate in the Mine Lab Championship?
I was there, even though I wasn't mentioned. I was there. Typically, when Jack has his events, I will go and I will help. I'll come as just maybe one of the pros or something like that, and then I help seed the field. I don't typically compete, but I really enjoy going and helping out Jack and his staff. And we seeded the beach, and it's really wonderful because you get to meet people from all over and talk detecting, and his events are awesome. So I was there. It was a great event.
Yeah, and I'll jump in, and I apologize. So, and I was thinking about competitors, and that's the beauty about Steve. He's not, he doesn't compete against people that are coming to events. He's been a big help since day one. Same with DJ Redbeard, DJ Dowling. Just like I said, I have a really big core group. But to talk about Steve, and I think it was our first event we did in the store, a show and tell or a little speech thing. And just by happenstance, I believe whether you're a guest speaker or you've come to join in, everybody gets a ticket in the draw. And doesn't Steve win a metal detector? And was it a Xterra 305, Steve? Do you remember?
I think it was. It wasn't a CTX, but it was a pretty nice detector. I only had it in my hands for.
Yeah, it could have been an Xterra 705. I forget, but so Steve's got this detector, and he's already owns a CTX and an XCal and a few others. And he looks around the room and he finds the smallest child in the room, calls him to the front, and presented that child with a detector. And
good deal, Steve.
That really, that one gesture was the defining moment of how these people in this region interact as a group. And he really set the tone straight. made sure everybody understood that it was kids first, family friendly, and that trend has continued several times beyond that. But it was an amazing gesture that became at everybody's surprise and delight.
Well, kudos to you, Steve. Nobody had to tell me what kind of character that you are, though, because we've had you on our show, we've had you on American Digger, and looking so forward to one of these days meeting with you and getting to hunt with you. I'll compete with you, and have.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know if I want to compete against you. I think I'll sit on the side. I know you got years of experience.
Yeah, but I'm old. I'm 150-year-old, so you can see it kind of balances out. But great story.
It's really important to myself and Jack that we we really mentor to the young people, and to all the people coming. It's like, for me, again, it's not meant for me to go and compete or anything like that. I really believe in passing it on, especially to the young people. And Jack's events will have not just singular detectorists come. There will be single mothers with their young sons or daughters that have never detected before coming, and families, and it's really an incredible family event. His event that's going to happen this summer is always the premier event. I call one of the premier events of North America, not just Canada, because as you know, I go to a lot of events throughout, Canada, United States, and Europe. And his event in Canada this summer, if you want to come to a premier event, it is going to be amazing. And I think, Jack, you've announced who's coming, right? Your guests, your special guests?
Yeah, certainly they have been announced on social media. We haven't talked about that event yet here, but I think we're going to probably talk about that probably after the next break or right now, whatever.
Steve brought in the perfect segue because we're ready to do that right now. But let me say this before I announce that event. We have opened up the call-in lines, 270-495-0315, and Jeff will put that in the chat. And the event that we're talking about is the Garrett Woodbine Beach metal detecting event. It will be June the 15th, the meet and greet, and then the actual outdoor event, will be on June the 16th. And go ahead, Jack, and tell everyone who's going to be there and a little bit about that hunt.
Yeah, great. So, again, we're going to have we have an amazing beach just east of downtown Toronto. It's on the north shore of Lake Ontario. It's called Woodbine Beach. And we've identified this beach probably for the last 5 or 6 years as one of the premier beaches in the country. Great event host, fantastic. So we have partnered with our friends at Garrett, and they have been gracious enough to send up the aquachigger to the event. He joined us last year. He had a great time. People loved him. And they really requested him to come back. So we're very pleased to have the Chig up with us. And this year, for the very first time, Jocelyn Elizabeth will be joining us. It'll be her first trip to Canada, and we're excited to have her. And she's excited to come. I spoke to her and company today. So, we're looking forward to that.
Jack, how can someone sign up for this event?
Pretty easy. If you go to radioworld.ca, click on events, you will see the metal detecting event banner. Click on the banner and it takes you to a page. We sell the tickets for the event for an adult for $50 Canadian, so that's about $33 US, and $25 Canadian for a child 12 and under. And what we do with that, 100% of the money collected, 100% of the money collected goes into the ground.
Good deal. That's a lot.
It's a lot. We provide a barbecue lunch, snacks, drinks, whatever we need to get the day going, to keep people hydrated, keep them fed. My team takes care of. We always have nice prizes. We work with our vendor, Garrett, Anderson Detector Shafts, Lesh, W&W, Lesh Tools, a few other, our digger, our scoop companies, RTG Scoops, and we have a great selection of prizes that we give out, draw prizes and such, and we have fun. And the whole idea, talking to Jocelyn today, talking to Chig the first year, and he says, "What do you want me to do?" Simple. You have 3 things that I need you to do, and you to show up on time. So, okay. I need you to talk to people, but the most important thing I need you to do is have a good time. He goes, "Yeah, what else?" No, that's it. Because if he does all of those things, he enriches that participant's experience, and that's what everybody wants. And for them, it's easy because they're natural people lovers. And same thing I told to Justin. She says, "That's it? Yeah, that's it. Have a good time. Enjoy." So that's it. We're starting off on the Saturday with a meet and greet in the store, June 15th, from 10 till 2. And they can come in, and we'll have coffee and donuts and that kind of stuff, and sit around and talk to both of them, to Bo and to Jocelyn, and trade stories, bring in something if you want to show them, take a picture, get an autograph, whatever the case may be. We're going to break from there and head our separate ways, and then meet up on Sunday for the hunt. It'll be a great weekend.
Well, you've got 2 good ones there. Hey, Steve, are you going to go to that event?
I will be at that event. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a great time.
Now, are you going to be at the meet and greet too, or just at the event itself?
I probably will be at the meet and greet. I'm making myself available for that weekend. I'm looking forward to meeting Jocelyn. She's also another writer for American Digger. For all you people out there, if you do read American Digger, and when Bo came last year, we actually took him dive detecting after the event. So I got to really have a good time and get to know him pretty good when he was here last year. And the guy's hilarious. So we had a blast with him. Yeah.
Well, he's right at home in the water, but kind of a different water, isn't he? He's in the creeks and rivers most of the time.
Yeah, exactly. He doesn't do a lot of deep dives like we do, but he can hold his own. He was good. We had a great time together.
Well, it sounds like a marvelous event. And Jack, go ahead and talk about the event itself on June the 16th. What all is that going to involve?
Well, the basics. I can always tell you the basics of it because I'm a fly by the seat of my pants guy, and I'll have an idea at 10 o'clock on Saturday night, and Sunday morning I'll put it together, just the way it goes. I always want to be first, be better, and be different, so I change it up all the time. But the basics of it is we're going to have a registration at 9 o'clock in the morning, 9 till 9:30, 9:45, and then we have a group session together for about 15 minutes where we just talk and we reinforce our values and what we're going to do today. We talk about the code of ethics and everything like that. So it's really a meeting that really I want everybody to get in close and tight and be involved in and to actually have ownership in what we're doing. We generally have media there. We generally have news media there at the beach. It's an amazing spot, so highly likely that we will make the 6 o'clock news. We start off with a seated hunt in the morning. We take an area of about the size of 2 football fields, and we fence it off. And we have our first hunt on one field, and we have to take a break, and then we have our second event on the second side of the field. So this is a full football field each hunt. And those are, this theme is going to be a Mexican theme this year. So we're going to have a lot of Mexican coins from the 1800s and early 1900s in this, mixed in with coins from around the world. It's most of it is as old as I can get within the budget. And then we have a break for our barbecue lunch for about 45 minutes, and we serve a hot lunch to everybody. Take a break, make sure everybody's hydrated. We play a game called basically it's a metal detecting poker, where we'll have everybody in 5 teams. They will go onto a segregated hunt field, and they can pick up one target only, but they don't open it. When each person has had their chance through that, they gather in teams. They expose a taped playing card that's on the cutout on the back of their coin, and they put together the best poker hand, and that team collectively will win a prize. Typically, it'll be probably a Garrett carrot each. And then we will head out to the final hunt. Our final hunt is generally our high-value hunt that is primarily made up of silver and gold pieces. And I bury everything. I don't care what the worth is. If it's a $200 gold piece, we buried what was that piece worth? Steve, $600 or $700 gold piece we buried. And everybody says, well, what if you don't find it? Go ahead, Steve.
Yeah, most of I don't think there's been a hunt that I've heard of yet that has buried more in the ground than Jack has buried at his events, and that's all the events I've been to. There's thousands and thousands of dollars spent at this event.
I'm not a believer in burying tokens, because that detectorist learns nothing by detecting a trash token. When you hear that sound of gold, you need to learn that sound. When you hear the sound of near pure silver, you need to learn that sound. It's paid for. It's your money. It's in the ground. That's where it all is. May the best detectorist find it. So we bury all that stuff in, and then once we're done, it'll be an hour, but that'll be the whole field. So 2 football field sizes. It's all done. We give extra time for that, and when we're done, we're done. We all gather together. We have a drink of water. We laugh. We share our finds amongst each other. We put all our trash in a tarp, and then we do some drop prizes. And usually I have enough drop prizes for an hour. I guarantee everybody goes home with something from the drop prize.
Yeah.
So,
exactly.
So it works out really well. It's a lot of fun, family-friendly event, really geared for newbies, young people, old people, but less experienced detectorists, where we'll do the Mind Lab Championship again in September for maybe the higher-end detectorists.
Now, Steve, I know Bo and Jocelyn, they'll probably be signing autographs. What about you? Will you be signing any?
Oh, geez. You know what? I tell you what, I'm actually coming out with my new book this summer, so maybe I'll bring some new books along with me, and I'll sign those.
Man, I can't wait to read that book. That's going to be a great book. And, Jack, Is there any more sponsors that's going to be at this hunt?
I don't know. And, again, it's all going to depend on quantity and quality and things like that. I wanted to jump into there about Steve's book, the Ring Finder, coming out very soon. He's told me all about it. He's super excited, and if it's anything like anything that Steve does, it's going to be full on, and nothing less than exceptional. So I would think that certainly we're going to carry that book, and think about Steve. I don't think Steve is maybe built for signing autographs. Steve's he's a handsome fellow, and he's got great hair. So if anybody's lucky enough to get a picture with him, then that's probably good enough.
So he's got the face for TV instead of radio. Is that right?
Yeah, he's got like Lloyd. Lloyd, I looked through the pictures. Lloyd's an old guy with great hair, and I have a tough time warming up to people like that. It's funny because I live near the Toronto airport. And ever since I was like 22, these planes started lining up over my head, and I had to actually start wearing a cap because I was worried they were going to land on my front yard.
Did you guys see how easy that he said he's an old guy?
Yeah.
Hey,
I just want to add one more thing because I know you got callers waiting, Loy, and I don't want to take up your phone line. But just that one thing about the hunt I wanted to talk about real quickly is that, and Jeff, we just kind of touched on it a little bit, was no one will leave that hunt empty-handed. And myself and a few of the other guys that seed it will keep an eye on, like, everybody, and even the people that aren't finding anything. We always make sure there's something in the ground that's right around them. Even, the little kids, if they haven't found anything, it's really important to us that everybody walks away with something. So at the end of the day, like, in all honesty, people walk away and you can hear them when they're walking to their cars saying, that was literally one of the best events I've ever been to.
I was thinking about that earlier. It would be just great sitting back under a shade tree and watching people find these relics that you've seeded, and then seeing the excitement on their face when they find them.
Hey,
it's fantastic.
And there was a follow-up question that I wanted to ask. Is there a special kids event at this as well?
So
yeah,
that's a great question, and the answer is yes and no. Because I think that kids should not be segregated. I think that they should be working with, and I think that they should be hunting side by side. And when you do that, I have found that it creates more responsibility on those rest of the detectorists. They actually make it, they behave better. They conduct themselves better. They become generous. They end up helping these younger people,
yep,
or the people less fortunate, or the people less mobile, or the people less adept in finding things. But the yes part of that Steve came to me, was it 2 years ago, Steve? Maybe 3 years ago, and said, listen, we're going to send all the kids 10 minutes early. And they're going to have the whole field to themselves, 10 minutes by themselves before anybody else can step on the field. My answer is simple. You're the hunt master. Your call. Good with me. And everybody loved that. That was fantastic.
And then, like Steve said, if you see a kid and he's struggling just a little bit, you'll pitch in there and help him or her, won't you?
100%. It's that I eyeball those kids, and I just wait. Because, they'll get a little frustrated, right? And, I remember last year there was a little girl, and she started actually getting upset because she hadn't found anything. And we went over and we said, okay, just, we spent a little time with her. Sure enough, there was a target right in front of her, and she heard it, found it on her own. We encouraged her to dig it out, and she pulled out a nice, beautiful silver ring. It was awesome to watch that. You should have seen the look. That you couldn't put a price on the look on her face.
I bet you couldn't. I mean, that is great, and you changed her life forever. I'm sure she's hooked right there. And if that ring hadn't have been there, she would have just got frustrated, like a lot of people do, metal detecting, and say, "Well, I can't find anything," but she did find that silver ring, and then there you go.
Well,
we're really sensitive about that, and also the people who are coming. Like Jack said, they will watch the kids too, and everyone helps out. Wouldn't you say, Jack?
Yes, I think that 75% of the people come to the event for the camaraderie, not for the finds.
And I think it was a perfect answer that you gave, and I appreciate, the position that you take. I think having the kids in there with the grown-ups makes it more of a family situation. Plus, it will kind of tame down the competitiveness of the older, more experienced hunters and what have you. So, letting them have it 10 minutes early, that's good, but having them all together, that's good as well.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Hey, Loy,
Absolutely.
And everybody, I'm gonna let you go because I know there's other people waiting on the line. I don't want to hog the line here, but I just wanted to really thank you for letting me come on tonight. I always like to encourage my good buddy, Jack Summers. And we would love to have you guys all come up to Canada.
Can't make it this June, but maybe next year we will look at that and make some plans. I'd love to come up there and do a live show. But always good to talk to you, Steve, and we really do appreciate the call tonight.
Yes, thank you, Steve.
You too. Thank you so much. Yep. Okay, God bless you guys. We'll have a good night.
Okay, talk to you later. And we had Steve on just recently on American Digger. What a great guy!
Actually, that when you say he's a great guy, and I honestly believe that's a bit of an understatement.
It is.
He is actually just an amazing person. You couldn't ask for a better friend, and he's extremely selfless. And I'm a believer in that good things happen to good people. And, I think that some of that is true in Steve's case, that you see him doing his dive detecting or his ring finding or all of those things, and he's successful. Well, he's successful because I remember when he first started, he would talk nothing but metal detecting, and he would be detecting 40, 50, 60 hours a week. And when you're detecting that much, Loy, Jeff, both of you've been detecting a long time. You put a lot of time into it, you're going to have successes. If you are detecting in high value target value areas, you're going to get higher targets, higher fines. But there's also the other part of it, whether it be luck or fate. And I think I'm a big believer in karma. And if you're a good person, somewhere, somehow, there's a magic fairy over there sprinkling dust in your neighborhood, and you're going to find some great things.
We have a good friend, Jimmy Crossbones in Florida. And, of course, when we went down to Orlando hunt, he took us out a couple of days before the hunt. And, of course, he took us along a stretch of his beach where he'd found a few things. And he just kind of sat back and watched us hunt. And then he was hoping we would find something. And when people come to Tennessee to hunt with me and Kentucky to hunt with Seven, I mean, we kind of do the same thing. We just kind of sit back and let them, hopefully they will find something. So, and that's, you get out of the hobby what you put into it.
Hey, guys, we've got another caller. Would you happen to know Pop Can Dan out of Canada?
Are you talking to Jeff? I've never heard of him.
Okay, go ahead, Pop Can.
Hey, how's it going, man?
Hey, it's going great. Good to have you on the show.
Right on. I had to just give a quick call to say hi to my buddy Jack.
Hey, Dan, good to hear you. I hope you're
right on.
getting a new detector. So Dan is another one of our inside guys there, Jeff and Loy. Dan is another guy that joined us for an event that when we had the KG and Ringy up, and we had a great time and got to know Dan personally very well. And Dan is now one of those guys that's I'm sure he's always been a great guy, but he would rather see that new detectorist, that young person, help them along than go out there and pick up 75 coins at a seated hunt. So I got to thank him for his support and his friendship as well.
Absolutely, Jack. It's not about going out and finding all the coins. It's about the camaraderie, and I love helping any of the new kids out there. That's the main reason I go.
And for those of you that don't know, Pop Can Dan is the sidekick along with DJ Dowling. He pulled a pretty good trick on you, didn't he, Dan?
Oh, man, he's got, you know what? Let me tell you this right now. I got something up my sleeve for him. I mean, it's going to take a little time, but I'm going to get him really good.
Yeah, well, don't say anything because he may listen to the show on the archive.
Oh, he's probably listening right now.
He's a lurker, isn't he? Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Tell us about your experiences then with these events that you've worked with Jack.
Well, the first one I went to was on Toronto Island, and I was always a bit of a, how can I put it, a bit of a lone wolf, and I never realized that there was events like this, and when I started getting into the community of people, I signed up to go to this event, and right out of the gate, Jack, Diane from Radioworld, they just treated me like family, and they immediately they knew my name. They talked to me. They introduced me to people, and I immediately felt like a family. It was so amazing, and I've never left since.
And tell us.
It sounds like a great hunt. I mean, that's what it means. If you go to a hunt and they treat you like family, then you say you're going back every time. I mean, that tells you a lot about Jack and his hunts.
Oh, absolutely.
And I tell you something, Dan. Our booking agent he's not live. Well, he's live in the chat and everything. I'm going to reach out to him. We'd like to have you on as a guest. I know that we're already booked up through July, but we'd like to get you in the future sometime if you'd come on the show.
Yeah, man, anytime. I would love to do that. I'd absolutely love to do that. I'm always open for that, for sure.
Well, Jack gives you his seal of approval, so I guess that's good enough for us. Him and DJ Dowling, so we'd like to get to know more about you as well.
Right on. I love that, man. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, and there's no doubt that Dan is a character. It's funny, the persona that him and DJ have together, I don't know if they're Dumb and Dumber or if they are Bonnie and Clyde or if they're Mutt and Jeff, but honestly, the friendship that these two have and the ability to make each other laugh and do these pranks on each other and abuse each other in the nicest possible way and share that on YouTube videos it's fantastic, and they just have a special gift to do that together, and I certainly appreciate them both because it's pretty nice to see.
They've got good chemistry. There's no doubt about it, and that translates into people watching that, and people enjoy that chemistry that partners have like that, and you and DJ certainly do have that. And I love the pranks that are pulled.
Yeah, you know what? I mean, I've always said this, and DJ agreed, that you got to have fun out there. You have to have fun doing metal detecting. I find people, they seem too uptight, and we want to bring just show people you can actually have fun and detect and show the code of ethics and find great stuff.
And I'm sure that you're going to be at this Woodbine Beach metal detecting event. Am I correct?
Oh, absolutely, man. I already got my ticket.
Sounds good, doesn't it, Jack?
Yeah, it sure does. I think that again, admits I don't metal detect. I really, it's not my thing. But my thing is people, and anything that we do as in my personal life or in my work life that provides rewarding experiences like the metal detecting community has provided in these special events. And we do things with the fishing guys and other groups as well. But the metal detecting guys in particular seem to have hit a stride because they really have started to search each other out and make friendships and then hunt in pods. And I think that's special because it, like Dan said, he was a lone wolf. It was new to all of them. And we've met some amazing people. The Canadian Metal Detector Forums, Daniel Dawson and Michael from out in Vancouver, and Lori Gagne and Eric from the Ottawa region. I mean, amazing detectorists and even better family people. You forget half of the names when you're live, but I could list on all my fingers and toes and then still not have enough of just the wonderful people that we have been introduced to over the last 4 or 5 years. Dan, would you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. Like you said, the word family just comes to mind, like Eric and Lori, everybody. It's just amazing. And you want to talk about a resource pool. You could put something up online, you get them commenting right away, and they say, "Hey, that's great," and you get all kinds of information from them. It's amazing. I can't even describe it.
Would you say it's very similar in your area too, Loy or Jeff?
Yeah, I think it is. And I was fixing to make the comment. Me and Jeff are coming up on 2 years doing this show, and it is absolutely amazing. The people that we've come in contact with, the people that we've met on this show, the people that we now consider part of our family, don't we, Jeff?
That's right. And then, of course, you just had a guy come from California to hunt with you, and then I've also had a guy from California to come and hunt with me. And then, I mean, it's just all the people that you meet, and then you become, I mean, like family. And I mean, it's a great hobby, and I mean, you just meet so many people, and I mean, there's so many people that invite you to go here and go there, and I mean, unfortunately, there's only so many days in a year, and then only so many dollars in the checking account. So, I mean, we can't go everywhere. So, I mean,
yeah, we need sponsors that'll pay us a living and send us where we would like to go. We'd go every week somewhere. But
yeah, I think Allison Walker said she was going to pay for us to come to Canada.
But don't put her up to that, because the problem is that she will do it, and then you'll feel bad.
Well, yeah, I seen her in the chat, and I thought I'd pick on her a little bit, but no, she wouldn't do that, and of course we wouldn't ever accept it either. So,
Allison is another very special friend of mine in my life. I know she was on the show, and I know Allison through the breast cancer charity. I know she talked about the Kelly Shires Foundation, and Allison does her ring finding on behalf of donations made to the charity. Well, it just happens to the one of the co-founders of the charity, the namesake, Kelly Shires Breast Cancer Foundation. Kelly's my stepsister. So I met Allison through the charity. And at the charity event one year, 7-8 years ago, I donated a metal detector to the silent auction. And Allison bought that silent auction item. I think that she had mentioned that on the show, and it was an Xterra 305. And she went metal detecting and was hooked. And then she upgraded to her, I think she went next to either an X-Cal or an E-Track, and passed that down to her daughter. And now that's when Pink Power Alley was born. I happened to donate a metal detector to a charity event that we knew each other at, and it can be that simple, just starting off that way.
Yeah, and she said it changed her life forever. Sure did. I'm going to do an article on Allison, me being roped into producing American Digger magazine. Their podcast, Relic Roundup, has put me behind about a month. But, Allie, I'm still going to reach out to you, and we're going to get that done here within, we'll try to start that here within the next couple of weeks. But haven't had the pleasure of meeting her yet, but Jeff did down at the Central Florida Metal Detecting event down there this year, didn't you, Jeff?
I sure did, and then that's where we go back to this hobby creates family. And as soon as I met her, and then, I mean, of course, I'm really not a handshaker, I'm a hugger, and then of course, when I hugged her, I mean, I could tell right then that we would be friends forever. And, I mean, she is a fantastic woman, and her story just gets to my heart, and we'll be friends forever. And
she's a relic hunter now. Did y'all know that? She put something on our page. She said, "Loy, now I'm a relic hunter." She found a bull's head on a piece of leather, a little silver-looking thing. I don't know exactly what it was or what it went to, but yeah, you got the relic bug now, Allie.
I certainly I did see that post, and I can tell you that she is 100% genuine. What you see is what you get. And if you need any insight or background information on Allison, you reach out to me, and I'd be happy to chat. I could talk about her all day long. I could tell you the rumors, the truth, the skin, the scam, and the scandals. I got it all.
Okay, I've got the chat going wild now. Everybody's wanting to hug me now. So
I've seen Jordan put that in there.
Yeah, then Denny put, what did you feel when you hugged me? Of course, Denny only hug ladies, women. Jordan, sorry, buddy.
Yeah, I had the pleasure of hunting with Jordan down there in Middle Tennessee this year. And I didn't hug you, Jordan. I'm not going to either, but I'll shake your hand and we'll be friends. But yeah, I tell you what, just and it's amazing. This guy that came from California, I had never met him. We had never really talked. He just shot me an email and said that they were traveling. They were going up to Pennsylvania, and he said, I could run down through Kentucky if you think you could hunt. And I said, give me a couple of days warning and come on down. And he came down, and it was just like we had known each other all of our life. And I find that true with just about everybody in the chat here that I've had the opportunity to meet with Denny and with Mark Hoover and with Jordan and just everybody. I mean, that I've had the opportunity to meet. Haven't you, Jeff?
I sure have. And I mean, it's great meeting everyone. So, I mean, and you meet these people, I mean, even the callers like Dan. I mean, of course, before it gets off our mind, we're going to give him a T-shirt tonight. And then from Mark and Ken Guthrie, TechTees.com. So I guess you just give your information, shirt size or whatever, to Loy or Mark Hoover. And we'll send you a T-shirt up there.
Yeah, but, Dan, just reach out to Relics Radio Facebook group page and send a message there with your name and address, and be sure and include your shirt size. Everybody always sends their name and address, and I always have to say size. So send your size and everything.
Loy, when you were talking about your visitor from California, if in life we have nothing in common with anybody else except for that one thing, it's enough.
That's right.
There's no doubt about it. And, getting to know you through just what research that I've done and from talking to you and what have you, it amazes me. Most people that come on the show, Jeff and I don't know them at all prior to the show. By the time we get to the end of the show, we're lifelong friends. And I know that you and I have so much in common in the broadcasting business. You do a hunting and fishing show. I did that for about 12 years, and so that's something that we have in common. You were into ham radio. I wasn't into ham radio, but I sure spent my time on CB radios, and so I just consider that you and I are so closely connected and got connected on this show thanks to Mark Hoover.
Yeah, it's funny. We've been talking for an hour and 45 minutes or so, an hour and a half on air, and it seems like it's been 10 or 15 minutes. We really haven't scratched the surface of anything. So certainly we do have a lot in common, and I just thumbed through Jeff's Facebook page as well and saw some lots of fish and hunting and things like that. So between us all, we have all of these things in common, which is great. And it's all about the outdoors, and it's living life. And, you have to get off the couch and get out and do things. And, it was funny when you started talking about your, finding shells or bullets and things like that in the woods and all of that. Depending on whether what you're hunting or what side of that on, whether you're metal detecting or actually hunting or not, it's universal language. And it is getting off the couch. Radio has been fantastic. You mentioned I do a live radio broadcast co-host. Now it's a little less frequently, but still the show's been on the air for 27 or 28 years in Toronto, called Outdoor Journal Radio, ODJradio.com. And I do that with Canada's number one TV fishing personality, Angelo Viola, from Fishing Canada. And that over the years has, introduced me to amazing people. Roland Martin, a famous TV fishing guy, a good friend of mine. And, the list goes on. And life is I've learned. I didn't have that in my youth, but I've learned that life is outside of the house and not inside of the house.
Well, if you run out of gas sometime, holler at me, and I'll talk about smallmouth fishing here on Dell Hollow. I've written a book on that and done quite a bit of it. and be more than willing to come on a show with you, and we get to know one another even a little bit better.
Yeah, Jack, I can promise you, Lloyd has plenty of stories. I guarantee you that.
Yeah.
As long as they don't start with "Once Upon a Time," we're on the same page.
They won't start with "Once Upon a Time." Sure won't. I tell you what, you have been an absolute fabulous guest tonight, Jack. We can't thank you enough for coming on the show. Give everybody your contacts on Facebook and also Radio World, the webpage and all that, so they know how to get in touch with you and how that they can go and register for this Woodbine Beach metal detecting event as well.
Okay, well, thank you, Lloyd. It's been a great time, and Jeff, it's been fantastic. It's been great being here. For anybody listening that wants to participate or find out more information, the website, www.radioworld.ca. There is an events tab. You can click on that. You'll find our Woodbine Beach hunt, and you can check back once in a while. We do generally a summer hunt and a fall hunt. All kinds of things on the go. We talk about fishing. We do all kinds of weird and wonderful things. On Facebook, I certainly have a page. It's Jack Summers, not hard to find, or Facebook/Radio World. You will find us there as well. And I think it's, I don't know, the other social media tags, Jack_Radio World finds me. But be happy to answer any questions, give some technical support, some advice, whether it be fishing, hunting, metal detecting, or whatever the case may be, radio. I kind of have all of the bases covered. It's women I can't figure out, but that's a whole different show, isn't it?
Yeah, I tell you what, if you can figure that out, you are a literal genius. And I'll let you have the last word, and then I'll close the show out, Jeff.
I've got kind of choked up on that one. That was funny. But we appreciate everyone in the comment section, and we got to talking and kind of sentimental this last half of the show. And I mean, we are all friends. It doesn't matter your religion, your political beliefs, or whatever. We have one or two interests with each other, and we can all be friends. It doesn't matter what. And I mean, I believe that's the way the Lord wants it. And I mean, we can all be friends. So, but thanks for everybody in the chat. Thanks for our callers. Thanks for Dan. Thanks for Steve calling in. And bless all of you.
Yeah, and Dan, you reach out to me now on the Relics Radio Facebook group page and give me your address and your shirt size. And DetectTees.com, Ken and Mark Guthrie, they will get you a shirt in the mail. And if you like podcasts like this, check out Beyond Sight and Sound with Josh Kimmel every Sunday night and Wednesday night at 8 o'clock Eastern. And All Metal Mode has a podcast with Mike Hare and Gypsy Jules every Monday night at 8 p.m. Eastern. American Diggers Relic Roundup with Butch Holcomb, Jeff Lupert, and myself. We're on Monday night at 9 o'clock Eastern. Hardcore Metal Detecting with Derek Asklar, Craig Talley is on every Thursday night and Saturday night at 8 o'clock Eastern. And XP Team USA with Dave Kimball and Grant Hansen is on every other Friday night at 8 o'clock Eastern. Obviously, me and Jeff will be right back here next Thursday night. And don't forget, go to the Relics Radio Facebook group page and make a comment on the giveaway post there for the Amphibio. Let me give you a number, and then listen live every Thursday night. I don't know when we're going to give this away, but it's going to be between now and the end of June, and we'd love for you to win that detector. So we'll see you next Thursday. Thank you so much for joining us tonight on Relics Radio. We really do appreciate it. Be sure and join us live every Thursday night at 8 o'clock Eastern here on Spreaker, or you can catch the archive show at Relics Radio on Spreaker, or iHeartRadio, iTunes, or many other podcast outlets. Relics Radio is also syndicated on the Cutting Edge Radio Network, and is broadcast around the world. Please take a minute and hit the like button, and be sure that you follow us so that you'll get notifications of all of our upcoming broadcasts. You can also find us on YouTube at Diggin' with 7 or Tennessee Jeff. Or you can check us out on our Relics Radio Facebook group page or Adventures in History on Facebook. If you'd like to get in touch with us, then send an email to relicsradio@outlook.com. We'd love to hear from you. We hope you'll join us next Thursday night. And until then, get out there and dig some history.